Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Knights of the Alternate Table. And this is part 2 of Simon's Alternate History, my alternate history Discord server that you can join now. We're looking for people to play in North America. So if you know lots about North America, or you just want to have a fun time, come join the Discord server and apply for roleplay. Also, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you can get constant reminders of my uploads. After World War I, the Celtic Empire would be established, comprised of Brittany, Cornwall, and other British places, as well as Wales and the Isle of Man. This would be a mass of German troops and a German puppet state, just to make sure England and France didn't try to take their revenge on Germany. Though the Celtic Empire deserves and wants to be British. After a long and hard-fought battle, the Irish take all of Ireland, with adding a black gear on their flag to symbolize the changing of the rule and to officially become the Irish Republic. They would become one of the great nations of the British Isles that was still independent. With France becoming a puppet and Belgium completely being annexed, the original governments would flee to African colonies to try and hide, while Italy would take most of French land from Africa and Germany taking most of British lands from Africa. But small guerrilla wars would rage between French and Belgian troops trying to take their home country back. The Germans would grant independence to the Boers, though the native Africans would not be granted their freedom, and the Boers would dominate their culture, creating a more Dutch state rather than a German or African state. This would be one of the first truly free African nations to rise up from a European power. But are they truly free? Germany, seeing the distinct clear between Hinduism and Islam, would decide to split Pakistan and India into their own dominions rather than one united, while Britain would take southern India as their empire was too huge for Germany to handle all at once without an economic crisis. The British having to pay war reparations, and the Portuguese wanting to test out their new wealth and power, would go to war with the Spanish united. Britain would take more land for Gibraltar, and Portugal would take the rest of the west coast of Spain. This would then hurt Spain, crippling them. They would also grant independence to Catalonia. Meanwhile, after a long, hard-fought battle and many nations taking lands off Russia, the Reds would finally win, but not being able to have a super large military due to the fact that they have been warring even more than in our own timeline, and not wanting to have to face any of the nations that took their lands, but wanting them all back for the new Mongolia and Yellow Russia would take more lands from the USSR as it has been weak and would be finalized because Mongolia and Yellow Russia would create a non-aggression pact focusing on in case the USSR attacks. Their combined military would be no match for the war-torn Russia, especially just after their civil war ended. The Soviet Union, realizing that it was one of the main cause for killing human life, would take a more peaceful approach to let their former places that broke off that they're good, but secretly planning the downfall of them all and reclaim the glory of Mother Russia. Though, through the world's eyes, the Soviet Union is a peaceful country, just surviving after years of civil war. Bulgaria would then unify with Serbia under a rule that the two countries can appreciate after Serbia's losses in World War I and having to pay large donations to Austria-Hungary, even though they were falling apart and became the new old man of Europe, while the Ottoman Empire became more strong. They would unify to stop the Ottoman threat and to take down Austria-Hungary. The newly formed Bulgaria and Serbia, now known as the Balkan Union, would then start chewing away at Austria-Hungary, leaving it so no parts of it would be left that were in the Balkans, and restoring a large part, while now looking their eyes to the Ottoman Empire to hold off any invasions and possibly liberate the rest of their Balkan brothers who have been under occupation. With a stronger army that's more equipped, they would quickly storm into Greece, killing all rebels who dare try and oppose Ottoman rule. After dealing with Greek rebels, they would turn to the Arab rebels after losing a lot of land to their former allies due to the Arab revolt. They would quickly quash this, conquering Saudi Arabia and trying to withhold the rest of their land. Meanwhile, Iran would start attacking their neighbors, annexing Afghanistan and going into former parts of the Soviet Union. This would begin a rivalry with the Ottoman Empire for the truly great empire of the Middle East. They would use their power to influence their smaller neighbors to either join them or dislike the Ottomans. They would become a powerful force with dealing with while the Japanese are dealing with their military loss of World War I and having to pay war reparations. The Koreans would break free of Japanese control and unify under one government, as no governments could properly split them up at this time. They would then keep independence for Korea alive, creating a strong sense of nationalism. The Germans, not wanting to have to annex some land only to deal with a revolt, would create a unified Indochina and splitting it between Siam and the nations of French Vietnam and Bangladesh to create a sort of neutrality between all, making a confederation that would deal with German politics and be a German ally in the East. But there's still much more to learn. So come down to the Discord server and apply for a roleplay, or talk with me and ask me questions about what happens to certain places that you've grown more attached to truly have a great understanding of this world. Be sure to also subscribe, like, hit that notification bell, and tell me what I can do better in my alternate history videos. Thank you. So guys, bad news and good news. Let's start with the good news. I'll be back and doing more videos, so tell me what you would like to see next in the comments. Or I'm probably just going to make more videos. I am probably going to make What If the French Revolution Failed? But now the bad news. My flash drive fell and it broke, so it will be some time before I can get all my progress back up.